Hello everyone. If it's your first time to the channel, welcome, and if it's not, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to begin playtesting in the OP06 meta, beginning with the leader Red Purple Uta. For those of you that may not know, her ability is when attacking, you can trash a film type character or card from your hand, not character card. You give something minus 2k power, and then you can add Dawn Rested. And so ultimately what you're trying to do is ramp as quickly as possible into some of your boss monsters, right? And so for this deck, or boss characters, for this deck, I'm choosing to run 4 of the film Shanks, which is a 10-12 on play. You can KO a character with 10,000 or less power. So you can use leader ability, right? Pair it with the Shanks, and then it can KO anything in the game at the moment. I'm also choosing to run 2 of the Rush Luffy, just because it, like, closer to the end of the game, right, your opponent starts putting up some blockers, and this helps you either clear board or just kind of, it just gives you that extra little bit of pressure. You can probably switch this out with like the 9-drop white beard if you'd like, or just kind of other boss monsters, but I do like the Luffy at the moment. So because of the leader's ability, right, you have to run a bunch of film characters. So we're choosing to run 4 of the film Gordon. It's a 2k counter. It also lets you cycle on play, which does come up at times. Running 4 of the new Saga that came out in OP06 is a 2k counter. It is also a 4 or 5 body. You never really use it for its effect, but there are times where you play it down as a character. Running 4 of the Shiraya blocker, which is just really good, especially against Yamato. We're running 3 of the Searcher Luffy. Just a little bit of extra search power can help you get a body on board. It also does have a trigger which lets you just search your top 3, which is pretty good. It can help you search your Shanks, because if you don't see your Shanks, that's where this deck struggles the most, is in the mid game, because there's times where you just don't really have a way to find Shanks. We're running 4 of the Zorojuro just for extra ramp against slower decks or decks that can't KO it. We're running 4 of the Guild Tesoro, which this is arguably the MVP of the deck. It also came out in set, or is coming out in set 6. On play, you can Dawn -1, and then you can add 2 cost 4 lower film characters from your grave, right? And so you can recur your 2k counters, you can recur your blockers, and just kind of help you maintain hand advantage. I am running 2 King. The mid game is where you struggle sometimes a little bit. King feels okay sometimes it doesn't, right? So the biggest issue is you don't really want to Dawn minus in the mid game, because you're trying to get to Shanks and Luffy as quickly as possible, and so unfortunately playing these early kind of brings you back. But that's where the deck honestly just struggles the most. It's just in the mid game, there's times where you're not entirely sure what to play, or your mid turns aren't as strong because you're trying to not Dawn minus too much. But there are times, like if you're playing against Red Purple Law, this is really good, so you don't mind minusing in the mid game, because you can KO one of their characters and then put a really big body on board. 4 Queen, just because Queen is an insane card. Running 4 Ein, just for additional ramp in the mid game, and it's also a film, so you can always just pitch it for leader ability. 4 of the Blocker Uta, because same thing as a film. We're running 1 of the Guild Tesoro. It has no counter, which sucks, and so that's why I'm only running it at a 1 of. If it sticks, it's really good, which it can stick sometimes against yellow, but most times it doesn't stick, and so you don't really want to see too many in your hand, because then it can be a brick unless you pitch for leader ability. 4 of the Buena Vista, because it's a searcher, it's 2k counter. And then finally I'm running 2 Jet Pistol. Just like I said, there's times in the mid game where you just kind of have a lot of extra Dawn, because you ramp up to 7 or 8 Dawn. You don't want to minus, because the next turn you go up to 10, and so you don't have too much to play, right? So for 8 Dawn, you can play like one of your blockers and a pistol. You can play a Saga and a blocker. And so it's just a nice extra little bit of removal, and I mean the trigger's always insane, right? And people don't play around it as much as they used to, because it's not really in the meta, and so it can catch people off guard. But yeah, so that is the deck profile, and now let's get into some gameplay. Alright, and for our first match, we have a game against Red Green Law. We're going to choose to go second. We do get a Zorojuro. We get a King. We'll keep. The King could come in handy. plays out a Bonnie. I'm just gonna play out the Gordon, and there's really nothing I want to put on the bottom, but we'll put another Gordon, and then we'll just cycle, just kind of see what we get. I mean, we're looking for Shanks if possible. Gonna take the first one. Do I want to? We'll use his effect now. Alright, and we do get the Shiraya. Man, the 10-drop Luffy would be so massive in this matchup. Because he can KO anything, right? He can KO his law blockers, his little choppers. He does use the Bonnie now. Probably has another Bonnie in hand then, yeah. I mean, this unless he has a third one in hand, he probably doesn't want to play the Bonnies. I'm glad we played the Gordon though, because that means I can use it to swing into one of them. Gets a killer. So we know he has 2 blockers in hand. I'm just gonna kill the. We'll pitch one of the blockers. We'll just give it minus 1,000. And then we'll play the Zorojiro to help ramp even more. Because next turn we are gonna play the King on anything that he plays. Yeah, we let the Gordon go, and it did more than enough. I really wish Red Green Law was good, but even after like the Sakazuki ban, I just don't think it's gonna be good. There's just too many decks now that can help counter it. Like Yellow just has a lot of removal now as well. Perona is gonna be able to rest everything you play. This Luffy is gonna be nice. I'm just gonna go 5, 6, and then the King. I could, but so this is where the issue with the deck comes in, right? I'm at 8 Dawn, so next turn I would go to 10 to be able to play the Luffy, but I have no good plays, right, that don't require Dawn minusing. Like I have the Queen and I have a King, so I don't really have anything that would be good that that doesn't put me back to where I can't play. I'm gonna do the Killer, to where I could still play the Luffy next turn, and that's the biggest problem with the deck I think at the moment, because the Queen is Dawn minus, the King is Dawn minus, the Guild Tesoro is on play is Dawn minus, and so there isn't really a good, 5 or 6 drop that I mean just gives you a good strong mid game. Your end game is pretty strong, right, because of the 10 drops. Your early game is pretty good because you have the Iron, you have the Zorojiros, you have things to ramp, but that mid game is just not the best. I mean, you could arguably play Queen and then just swing big, but yeah, I mean, you got him. Swing 6. We'll counter out of a 6. I can just go 8-8 and play the Queen. 8-8 at the Zoro, play the Queen. Oh, he just lets it go. Okay. And then next turn I'll play the Luffy. the Zoro Juro here. And then just pass. We're in a pretty good spot. What counter? What counter out of that one? Plays the kid. Okay, so that is, I wonder why the Apu here though. But I guess that's what he's been. But the thing here is he doesn't know is I have this Luffy, so he has to give me 4K worth of counter. Yeah, and that just, and there's that. And then now I can just go 5 and then 7. I'm just gonna kill it. Yeah. He gets the free block, but I kill the law anyway, so. And then I think that's just game. But see, so like decks like red, green, law that run a lot of blockers are why I chose to run this Luffy. Because it can win in the right situations. It can just win you games. And if you lose like the mid game battle, then being able to have a rush, like a strong rush boss monster, does help. And then I think my opponent here just concedes. Yeah, there's not much he can do. We control that game really well. I don't think he had the best start. You can see his hand is a little bricked up. He doesn't have a lot of like the searchers. Doesn't have a lot of the little characters that he can use to kind of cycle through. It seems like he was playing like a build more oriented to like the high end, which is why he was also playing like the A drop. But we do pretty well against this specific deck. So that was a good showcasing of why we run this 10 drop Luffy and the king itself. So yeah, that's a GG to my opponent. Alright, and for our second matchup, we have a game against Green Uta. Chooses to go second. I'm going to keep because I do have a Shiraya for turn 2. I have an Ein for the turn after that. This is another matchup where the we're gonna pitch the Uta. This is another matchup where the 10 drop Luffy's gonna come into play. Hopefully we can see one, because it can kill anything they can play. Kill the 7 drop Luffy if they play the Eustace Kid. I guess it can't kill the 10 drop Dofi if they play the 10 drop Dofi, but it can kill the 8 drop Kid. Gets a Nami, plays a Nami and passes. I'm just gonna go 7 and then play the Ein. That puts me at 7. If I ramp, I'll be at 10 next turn. So that actually, it seems pretty good. So we'll do that. We'll just swing 7 and we'll ramp one more time. And then we'll play the Ein, so the next turn we can play the Shanks. And then he should never be able to kill the Shanks. And hopefully we see some queens and some Guild Tesoros so that we can replenish our hand some. Swings 7 at life. We're gonna take. Gets a Luffy. Yeah, we'll take this one. Because if he decides to go 8 with leader, he could backlight the Shiraya if I rest the Shiraya. So I'm just going to give him a 2k counter instead of blocking and giving him a 1k counter. Yeah, nice. And we get a jet pistol. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm just gonna go 5-5 and then play the Shanks to kill the Nami. He's gonna be at 8 Dawn and play the 7-drop Luffy next turn. But I will be able to jet pistol, like if he plays a Nami off of it, I'll be able to jet pistol. I'll have the Shanks on board at that point. Or if we draw the 10-drop Luffy, that would be even better. The deck feels okay. It has small inconsistencies that just make it to where it can't be a top tier deck. Because like this is ideally your best start, right? Your best plays, but you can't guarantee this consistently, unfortunately. And I'm so behind on hand size. Like you pitch so much to ramp so quickly that I'm really behind on hand size. That's the problem a little bit. Swings 7. I'm just gonna block and counter with the Zorojiro. Uta is an aggro deck at the end of the day, so don't want to go too low too quickly. I'm just gonna jet pistol, play the Shiraya. So I'm gonna go 8, 12 at life, and like I said, jet pistol, and then play another Shiraya. He's setting up for. Do I want to jet pistol? It seems like he's setting up for the 8-drop Kid. And with between leader ability and jet pistol, I could kill it. But I probably should have held the jet pistol just in case. But we'll see. If I draw the 10-drop Luffy, that just solves that issue. But okay, he doesn't. Nice. He has so many cards in hand. Okay, so we're looking for a Queen, a 5-drop Gil Tesoro, or the 10-drop Luffy. No. We get none of that. We'll just get the 2K and we'll go 12, 13, leave 2 blockers up. Sure. Like, we started off really well. We got really good advantage early. But then, like, turn 5 and 6, we just didn't really do anything of note is the problem here. Yeah, now he plays the 8-drop Kid. And has, like, a bunch of cards to defend it. which we knew it was coming, right? But there really wasn't much we could do about it. And then here, I mean, we get a free block and a free block. Because his leader's at 6. He swung with the leader first, which is a little bit of a misplay. He can still swing with this Luffy. Which we do need the cards out of life. But I'm kind of scared to go down too early. Can we survive another turn? I don't know that we can. Okay, so he just has so many cards in hand. That yeah, I mean he just wins on the crackback because we have no cards in hand, especially if he has like the I'm Invincible or a backlight. Yeah, he just blocks here with the Uta. Yeah, and then he can just, I mean, he can just go all in. He can just go 5, 5, 7, and then 12, 12. Or if he has backlights, then he can just double backlight. Yeah, there's one. Probably has another one. Plays a Luffy instead. Into a Zoro. He could have probably won if he just went for game. Yeah, you got him for sure. You got him as well. Yeah. We need a 10 drop. Okay. No luck. So what can I do here? He's at 5. She's at 5. So 10, 10, 12. That is all I can do. And he can probably get out of this. Wow. Okay. And we happen to get that game. Don't ask me how we got that game, but we got that game. Maybe he just didn't have like an I'm Invincible or another backlight to rest that blocker, and he was scared to try to go for game. But I think if he didn't have counter, he should have just gone for it anyway. We'll take that. Like I said though, so this did perfectly showcase though like the strengths and the weaknesses of the deck, right? Like we started off very hot. We were able to get up to Shanks on while he had what 6 or 8 Dawn at that point. But then after that, our mid game is just very weak, and so he was just able to get back into the game, and solely because of a possible misplay, which we don't know his hand, right? So we don't know that it was a misplay, but solely because of a possible misplay were we able to take the game. And so if we had a way to like steamroll advantage, then I think the deck could be really strong. We just kind of don't. Like we're praying for a good top deck to continue steamrolling it. And like I said, had we seen a 5-drop Guild to Zoro to get some of our resources back from the grave, had we seen a Queen, then maybe. But when you don't see like those cards, then the deck becomes very very bad very quickly. But either way though, that's a GG to my opponent. Alright, and for our third game, we have a game against Reiju. Never actually played against Reiju with Red Purple Uta, so we'll see how this goes. We chose to go second. This is a pretty good hand, so we'll keep. We have the Shiraya. We have the Queen for later on. They don't play. Most versions don't play a blocker. But I mean, if we can ramp up to the Luffy quick enough, then maybe we can use it to kill the 7-drop. Uta could come in handy, so I'm just gonna get rid of one of the. I'm gonna get rid of one of the 2Ks. An Ein would be very nice. Their hand is gonna look ginormous compared to ours. The Reiju just draws so much. I will say I just noticed they played the German Kingdom and didn't cycle. They do play the blocker. That's good to know. So the Luffy may come in handy. Gets a baby Reiju. Doesn't have less than 5 cards though. Okay, he does get the blocker back. Draws a card. And then swings what, 7? Or plays baby Reiju. Now swing 7. We're gonna take this one. Nice. And that's exactly why we play Jet Pistol. Because it, like I said, it just surprises people sometimes. People kind of forget that this is a card. And it is so good sometimes. We're just gonna play the Uta. There was no point in ramping there because that just puts me to 7. Next turn I go to 9 Dawn. And that doesn't really matter. You don't have a 9 Dawn play. Or at least I don't. Right? If you're playing the 9-drop Whitebeard, you could. But I'm not playing him. Swings 7 again. I'm going to take this one as well. Just kind of want to see what I get. Could play the blocker again. Yep, he does. So it's a 6. Now we get the Ein. I mean, I can go 7-7 here. Can swing with the Uta. No, we'll swing with the Shiraya. So I'll go 7-7 and then just play the Ein. That way, if I block with the Uta, then at least like it doesn't matter that I lose that Dawn. Yeah, that's fine. And we'll play the Ein and ramp. He hasn't seen the Ichiji yet. Hopefully I didn't speak it into existence. Gets a Reiju. Plays a Kaya to cycle. He's had a pretty slow start. He did have the Ichiji. I wonder why he didn't. That red is the best card in the deck, so he should definitely have kept the Ichiji in hand and then played it. But we're pretty okay here. Yeah, if he swings, does this matter to me? Not really. We'll just let it go. If he swings with the blocker, then that's fine. But I am gonna play the Luffy now, and then just go 5-5. And so he can't block. He's only at 5 Don, so we don't have to worry about a judge either. Nice. He's down to 1 life. Yeah, judge is out of the question for him this game now. We also have the Uta, which can rest the blocker. Like, so Luffy kills something if they block, right? But they do still get the block is the thing. And so, like, if I rest the blocker the next turn, then I could possibly go for game. But we can also just double queen next turn. He can. We'll block, rest the blocker, and then we will counter out of it. And this makes it to where he has to be worried about me going for game, because he doesn't have a blocker anymore. And he doesn't have another one in grave, so he can play the Ichiji. That's 4 Don. Puts my Luffy down at 9. No, then he only puts 3 Don on it, so it's only 10 at the 9. That's not enough. He does get a baby green. Okay. He has to try to kill the Luffy. But I do have a 2K. So I think we get this. Not seeing Ichiji early and Reiju is rough. Like that's the strongest part of the deck, is being able to see the Ichiji early. It just provides so much pressure. Yeah, I guess he can bounce the Uta to hand and then kill the Ein. Am I in any rush? Get a Shanks as well. Let's just do this. Does he have... I mean, if he has 5 2Ks and a 1K, then, I mean, you just got it, sir. Like, it is what it is at that point. But, okay, yeah, no, he doesn't. All right. Yeah, if he had 5 2Ks and then a 1K to get out of that, I mean, it just is what it is, right? There's not much I could do. But yeah, that was actually a really good showcasing of the game. We just kind of ramped early. We're able to get the Luffy out, which nullifies the blocker, and I mean, we just kind of controlled the game pretty well. That was a GG to my opponent. All right, and for our 4th and final matchup, we have a game against Katakuri. 10 is terrible. But we are going first, so we ramp into the king pretty quickly, so we'll keep. Could arguably play the Buena Vista as well, but it just always feels bad to play him. And then we have the Shanks, so that's really what we'd be looking for anyway. But I think king may be our win condition in this game. We get a G Uta Tesoro, that's pretty good. I'm gonna swing 8 and then ramp. We need blockers, so we'll just pitch a 2K. We can always get it back later with this G Uta Tesoro. All right, there's one trigger. Let's see how many my opponent gets this turn. Pitches a dead card to do it as well. We'll take. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but we'll give him the Uta. What does he play here? Sanji? An Ohm. He's playing the Ohm package. Okay. Doesn't get the Holly, but has it in hand. This feels so rough. Feels like we're in a little bit of a predicament. Just playing such an aggressive version. I could have used leader ability there to ramp, so I could have stayed on 6 Dawn and minus the Pero, but like just losing hand size just feels bad. Especially because he'll just regain a card with the Pero. Gets the 0 cost event with the Shura. Swings 7, which we're gonna take. We'll use the Luffy and we'll get a 2K. Then swings 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, we'll just take that. We'll counter out of that one. We can just go 7 here. I do wish we were at 8 Dawn. We'll go 7 here. And then we're going to play the Queen. We go to 8 Dawn next turn, so we're going to play these 2. But either way, we'll just get rid of one of the blockers. Like, we haven't even been able to pressure his life just because he's had so much pressure on board. And we're going to lose the race. And he just has a reject anyway. Reject is such a strong card. It's crazy. No, I mean, I need that. And then he just swings 5 at life. We'll block with this. Has a Lin for next turn. I arguably should have ramped because I still can't play the Shanks. We need the Shariah and then we need a 2K. So just grant him a life here. I guess I should have just trashed. Doesn't matter too much. If he has Thunderbolt or Reject anyway in the following... Well, Reject won't matter. But he can go 5-5. We'll get another 2K. Yeah. Just keep countering out the 2s. I'm gonna go 5, get back another blocker, play the blocker, so that leaves me with 1 extra Dawn, so I can just go 5, 7, 7. If this is Onami or Thunderbolt, like, okay. So we get back the blocker, and we get back a 2K, and then we play another blocker, and then pass. Like I said, if he has Thunderbolt, then he just Thunderbolts 1. I have to counter out of this, because if not, I lose. So we will 1, 2, 3. And then he can just go 8. We have to block. And then we just block and We'll just give him that last G Uta. 2 cards in hand. If I play this queen, leaves me 5 down. That puts it to 12. Okay, so he can't. He can't save that. And then we just go 5 here. But if any of these two, if he decides to take any of these two, and they're a body, no counter. Okay. Yeah, if he gets a Thunderbolt, that's just, if he has Thunderbolt, that's just game. Or Reject. Reject wins him the game as well, actually. Oh, goes after the G Uta. That's fine. We'll let it go. Because he can play a Katakuri here. Okay, yeah, we just trashed a life. That's fine, that doesn't matter. Because, okay, so we're going to play the Shanks. We're going to play the Shanks to kill the Lin Lin. If we're able to come back from this game, that will be quite insane. Hopefully no trigger. We've gotten pretty lucky with triggers so far. Okay. We've gotten pretty lucky that he hasn't. I mean, his only trigger was the first life. We've taken another like 4 life, or another 3 life, I think, and he hasn't gotten any triggers. So I will say that. But yeah, I mean, no, this would just block. I think we got it, which is insane. That's so insane, though. I think we're gonna be able to win this. I'm gonna give him the 2K, so it gives me another blocker. We have a jet pistol too, in case he triggers anything out of life. So we'll just go 7 here, and yeah, he just disconnects because there's nothing he can do. We got blessed, right, with the Casino Royale. He only got 1 trigger out of 6 lives. There's no telling what these 2 would have been, but more characters in those other 2 lives maybe would have swung the game. I did have 2 blockers, so without a Thunderbolt or a Reject, he still wouldn't have been able to win. But I think we controlled that pretty well. It's always scary because we did go down life really early, but we were able to keep those resources and then save the Shanks for when we needed it. So yeah, no, that's a GG to my opponent. All right, and for our final thoughts, what can I say about the deck? No, it performed better than I thought it was going to. There are matches that you play and it feels pretty bad, honestly. Just because it struggles in the middle, and there are games where you may start off winning, but you can't continue snowballing your opponent, and so you don't end up winning those games. But when you see what you need to see, the deck is really strong, and it actually catches some people off guard. The thing is, because it's not a common deck, a lot of people either don't know how to play around it or kind of don't know what to expect coming from it. But seeing G Uta in Queen after you get to Tendon is so strong, because you establish a blocker that replaces itself, and then you play the G Uta and you're able to recur back your 2K counters. And so that's really nice. Seeing the Shanks or the Luffy early is really good. The problem is there are times where you just unfortunately have to Dawn minus. I do wish there were some stronger red or purple cards that you can play in the mid game. I mean, there's an argument, right? You can maybe run like some Zoros or some Monkey D Luffys instead, like the 5-drop Rush Luffys, because that'll force your opponent to deal with it, or else it's going to keep exerting pressure. And that might be a good idea. You could probably swap that in for a G Uta, but because of Uta's ability itself, you have to run a good bit of the film cards, and while some of them are really good, others are not the best, right? Like Uta's okay, but it's only okay in certain matchups. the 2K counters, like this is solely a 2K counter. You don't really use it for anything else. The searcher itself, it really hurts that it's not a 1-1 or a 1-2 because you don't ever feel like you want to play it. The jet pistol won me arguably the Reiju game, so I really like it for just its element of surprise, right? We're able to use it. You can use it to in combination with leader ability to KO like the 8-drop kids, and it's a very versatile card. And so yeah, no, that is the deck profile. That's my breakdown. It's a when it's running well, it's a fun deck, and when it's not, it can be very frustrating. But I do think it's better than what people give it credit for. But there are just some matchups that just it feels atrocious. So with that though, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate all of the support. I'm going to continue playtesting some in set 6 and then some in EBO 1 just to kind of showcase some of the decks that will come out eventually. Yeah, no, that is the video. Thank you all so much, and I hope that you have an amazing day.